Hi friends, Tracy.bish here, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia. Welcome to my channel. I'm super excited that you're here. So this is Tracy's Sunday Challenge for this week. Our theme is going to be a special occasion. So you could use whatever occasion that may be coming up that you've got to create a card for, whether it be a wedding, anniversary, birthday, you know, a birth maybe. So many different occasions that are special. So I'm actually creating here my anniversary card, my wedding anniversary card. So we are using the Botanical Layers stamp set from the annual catalogue. I'm also using the inks Highland Heather Gorgeous Grape and this gorgeous Fluid 100 paper. Now if you haven't used Stampin' Up's Fluid 100 paper, which is a watercolour paper, highly recommend grabbing some. It's thick, it is great watercolour paper, it holds a lot of water, and because it has that thickness, it really does hold up very well with water. So we're going to start off with that. I've cut my watercolour paper down. I'm going to use my water painters here just to add a layer of water down. I'm doing like a watercolour wash for the background of my card. And of course I'm using the two colours Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape for that background. So my wedding, my husband and I's wedding, our theme was purples. We also had butterflies and bits of gold and silver, so a bit of metallics in there as well. And you know, that's why I've created this card here. So we've just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary, which is super fun. And yeah, every year I always create something with this theme. So it'll have butterflies, it's usually purple. He's got, you know, a lot of these cards. Which is super fun. But I loved seeing the those little embellishments, the butterfly embellishments from the Perennial Lavender Suite. You can find them on page 23 of the mini catalogue. There's actually 40 of these die-cut butterflies in the pack, and they're called paper butterfly accents. So if you're looking for them, great easy way to create some accents, add to your cards, your scrapbooking papers, any of those. So up to you. Now I'm actually doing this two ways. You can either squeeze your ink pad and get a little bit of ink in the lid of your ink pad, or you can use the re-inker onto an acrylic block and pick that up. And this is what I've done here. Now when you're creating a watercolor wash, you can do it a couple of different ways. So you can just add your colors down, you can dry off in between colors, and that creates a really great effect, really showcasing each color. But make sure that you have plenty of water there so that ink can disperse and create a really good background. And I really like, you know, by drying it off and then coming back with more color, gives it more depth as well. So I'm just going to hit it with the heat tool. There is a lot of water on here, so you could leave it maybe for a couple of hours and come back, or an hour or so and come back if you've got time. For me, I'm going to be the quick and easy person. I'm going to grab my heat tool out and make sure that that becomes dry pretty fast. And the heat tool works so well for this. Now one tip I will give you, once you've got it fairly semi-dry, if you hit the heat tool to the back of that Fluid 100 paper, that will help get out any wrinkles or crinkles from the water. So I've dried it. Now I'm going to come back in and add a little bit more color, a little bit of darkness in certain spots. Now the great thing is when you're watercoloring, it is going to turn out completely different every time, because you know you cannot generate a very carbon copy in watercoloring. It just won't happen. You know, water's going to go to different areas, it's going to dry differently, you're going to have different amounts of ink to ratio of water. So I really like how this turns out, because it is so special. It is one of a kind, and you know you can keep layering up colors as well if you'd like. But I think it turns out really well. So also with our card, I have Highland Heather is our card base. So it's just half a piece of A4 scored in half, burnished and folded for a flip over card. I have Gorgeous Grape as our matting piece for our Fluid 100 paper. And here I've just got a little bit of the Versamark refill. I've added a little bit of that onto the acrylic block. I'm going to pick it up with a little bit of water, and I'm going to flick onto the Fluid 100 paper. Now this is going to have nice little bits of you know, spots and dots all over the card front, which we're going to come in with our silver embossing powder and, you know, add a few layers there. Now the Versamark ink is super thick. It's you do have to water it down to work. I think probably what I would do next time, because it didn't flick quite as well as I would like, would probably mix it up and then place it onto the card front, you know, with certain sized pieces. So maybe use my scoring tool so it's a little bit smaller, like you're picking up blobs of that ink, placing it down. So we're going to have, you know, some smaller pieces, and then maybe use the end of a pencil for bigger pieces, because I really didn't completely like how this turned out. It wasn't what I had in mind. But I know some people have used water, just flicked water onto cardstock and then added your embossing powder. For me, that just doesn't work. It doesn't hold that embossing powder there long enough to be able to get it to melt. And you know, you can heat it from underneath, but for me, I have done that a couple of times, and yeah, it's just not an option for me. So good luck if you're able to get that to work, but for some reason I just cannot. So there's a few different ways that you could do this. And I just added water, this was just so silly, but anyway, these are things that you can learn from. So I sprayed a little bit of water down and then added my powder down on top. It just created a big globule. It looked terrible. Obviously, maybe if I'd pulled the sprayer back a lot more, there would be little dots on there rather than just a big blob. Again, you can learn from me. Alright, so here are these little paper butterflies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just choose 2 for the front of the card, and then I'm going to also do another one for the inside. Now we want to add a little bit of the ink to the butterfly, so they come white, so you can colour them with any sort of colouring tools you have, whether it be stamping blends, blending brushes like I'm doing here, sponge daubers, markers, watercolour pencils, any colouring medium that you would like to do would work. Now these are really quite delicate, like they're a little antenna, so you want to be really delicate as you're adding colour to them, but it's really easy to do. And I've just added, you know, a bit of the Highland Heather, and then you can either come in with the Gorgeous Grape for the darker pieces of the wings, or add another layer of that Highland Heather again to create that two-tone effect. Really easy. And of course we've got to add a little bit of the bling to the butterflies as well. So for that, I'm just going to add a little bit of Versamark ink around the edges of my butterflies, adding the silver embossing powder, and then we're just going to heat that. This turned out so well. The butterflies are just gorgeous with a little bit of gold on each of the edges. It really stands out on the card without overpowering the card, so which I think is really quite hard to do sometimes, not overpowering them. I have also in the inside, because this is Highland Heather card, it is a little bit dark, so I have added a layer of basic white to the inside as well. So usually if I'm doing a coloured cardstock as my base, you want to add a coloured, a white layer on the inside, or maybe even like a very vanilla, whatever colouring scheme you need for your card. And for the inside of my card, I have 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. So really easy. See, here I am, I'm just adding a little bit of the Versamark ink to the sides of my wings, and we're going to heat emboss that. I've added a little bit more bling with the sentiment, so I've heat embossed the sentiment you mean the world to me, which, you know, I think that's a really nice anniversary card without saying happy anniversary. And we're going to heat that with the Versamark ink and the silver embossing powder. Now the embossing powders come in ranges, so there's a metallic that has all your metallics, there's a basics that has, you know, your white, clear and black. The metallics has silver, gold and copper, I believe, so a really nice little assortment there. Now these little paper embellishments are pretty delicate, so you want to be really careful as you're handling them, but I didn't really have any problems. My antennas are still there, you know, and I'm pretty rough and ready, so as long as you're not extremely rough, you'll be fine. Now with the label, I'm pretty sure, and I actually made this card back in February, that's when our anniversary was. I'm pretty sure that this set is not the Everyday Details, it's the other one. That one that's really, really pretty. Just having a look in the catalogue now. The Thoughtful Expressions bundle. You can find that on page 62. It's a really pretty bundle. There's actually layering dies in like a circle, but it's not a circle. It's you know, I don't know what the shape would be called, but there's lots of different shapes that layer in with each other, which are great for your sentiments. So once we have that done, this video is going on forever. I thought I'd condensed it down a little bit more than that. I obviously haven't. So you're just going to hear me rambling. So if you would like to join in this week's challenge, Tracy Sunday Challenge, all you need to do is create a card or a project with the theme of special occasions, and then take a photo of it, come over to my business Facebook page and find the post for the challenge, and then pop your card or project in the comments section. And please, even if you don't have enough time to create something this week, come over and have a look at what everyone else is creating. Leave them a comment, let them know what you think of their projects. I know the ladies love to hear feedback on their projects, so please do that. That'd be wonderful. So here I'm sort of working out what colour I would like for my matting, what colour I want for my card base. So I went with a Gorgeous Grape for the matting piece. So just quickly, that Fluid 100 paper measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and the Gorgeous Grape measures 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. So just a really thin layer all the way around. So yeah. Now, if you're in need of any of the supplies that I'm using on today's card, and let me tell you, some of those are retiring, so you want to grab them as soon as possible. There are the last chance list is out with up to 60% off products. So if you haven't had a chance to pop on over to my online store, go over and see what's available, what's retiring, what's on sale with up to 60% off. That's pretty massive, and you know, now is the time to grab them. Also, because our ink colours are retiring, you want to grab those as well. So that is Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, Starry Sky and Orchid Oasis. Those are all retiring. So if you have those ink pads and you don't have the refills, please, please, please go out and grab those now. But anything else that I'm using on today's project, you can purchase in my online store, and I would love it if you did. This is that beautiful Thoughtful Expressions dies, which I've used. You can see all those different layering features, which are good. Yeah, you can purchase these all in my online store, and I would love it if you did. I always have some great little gifts for all my customers each month. You'll receive a handmade card, as well as the Simple Sweet Stampers tutorial bundle that is full of 12 wonderful projects using a certain suite. So April's suite is the Let's Go Fishing bundle or suite in the annual catalogue. So great masculine cards, you know, grab it and get that. If you spend over $65 in product, you'll also receive the April tutorial bundle, which will have lots and lots of really wonderful products as well, projects for you. So full of color photos, instructions, measurements, supplies, everything is there. So you're going to want to get those bundles. Alright, so here I am. I'm just using the Highland Heather cardstock. I've stamped my sentiment, "You Mean the World to Me," with Versamark ink. We're going to heat emboss with the silver, and then we're going to die cut with that those Thoughtful Expressions dies. And I sort of toyed around with which one I wanted, but I've gone with that long skinny one. It's really elegant, very, very pretty. And we're going to also bring in one of my favourite ribbons, and guess what? They're retiring. The Simply Elegant Trim. I really love this. It comes in gold and silver. So great for all projects because, you know, metallics do really go with a lot of things. And I'm using this silver, and I'm just going to do a little fake bow underneath the sentiment. Very easy to do, and just adds a little bit more pop with the metallics there as well. And I'm going to attach that to the back of that label just with some tear and tape. We're going to pop that up and pop it down onto the card front. Now with the butterfly elements, I'm just gluing those down, especially in the centers. That way that the wings can sort of be pushed back a little bit and look really great. Alright. So fake little bow, stick him down. So I really hope that you've enjoyed today's card and maybe have some ideas on what you would like to create using this special occasions theme. So many different things can come up, and you know what's really great when you're doing these challenges, if you're creating a card specifically to give out to someone. You know, we all don't need to be creating cards just to sit in our craft room. You want to give these cards out to family and friends and make them meaningful. So you may want to think a little bit ahead so you're not stressing yourself out. Maybe at the end of April or beginning of May you have a birthday coming up or some sort of occasion that you can create your card now and be stress-free when that time comes around. I know sometimes I leave everything to the last minute and I'm creating those special events a few days before they actually happen, which is super stressful for me. So then we're just going to layer these down, adding a little bit of the liquid adhesive to the center of the butterflies. Like I said, you want to be able to push their wings up like as though they're flying, but it's also flat. It'll go through the envelope and through the mail without any issues. I do add tear and tape to the fluid 100 paper because this has been water has been added, we've added fluids, we've used the heat gun on it. It will buckle just slightly, so what I find is if I use tear and tape all the way around the edges and adhere it down to the next layer, that is the best way of making sure that it doesn't buckle with time. So tear and tape is your friend with fluid 100 paper. And then once we've added that down to the gorgeous grape layer, we're going to pop that up onto the card base, which is the Highland Heather. I actually didn't use liquid glue. I used mini glue dots. Now, the great thing about mini glue dots is they're super strong, but it also gives that little popped up version of the element. So gives a little bit of extra depth to it because it's the glue dot, once you've rolled it up, it's a little bit higher. So, which is, you know, I think really great as well. So yeah, hopefully you're thinking now what you're going to create. I'm just trying to think. I'm doing this voiceover a week before Easter holidays, so we're in the midst of getting things ready to go away. We're actually going down to Tassie for the long weekend, and I'm so excited. This is one state that we haven't ever been to yet, so we've been everywhere else in Australia, lived in a lot of the states. The only states that we haven't lived in is actually WA, but we have been over to WA, and we haven't been to Tassie, so looking forward to it. I don't know whether a weekend's going to be long enough, but you know, it is only an hour flight away, so I'm not really sure why we haven't been over before now, but we have a few things planned and I'm super excited for it. It's going to be a great long weekend. So whatever you're doing for Easter, I really hope that you're having a relaxing and wonderful time. And that's my card. I do add a layer of basic white. Oh yeah, I did put that in inside the envelope. And I've also added one of those extra butterflies, which I didn't use any heat embossing on. I've just added a little bit of the Highland Heather ink to it, mainly focusing on the outside, leaving sort of around the center white. So that gave it a really nice ombre sort of effect as well. Yeah, so whatever you're doing for Easter, I hope that you had a really great time. This is actually going to come out, I think, the week after Easter. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm sure you've all had a wonderful time away and got a really nice break. And if you had to work, I really do apologise, because it's awful when you have to work in holiday time. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. I don't add any other embellishments, but you could, you know, certainly add a few embellishments if you wanted to. With those little flicks of the Versamark refill, there are a few little dots in the card front, so you know there are that extra little bit of silver in the background, and I think that that was really honestly enough. I also did stamp this sentiment on the inside, and I don't know whether I did. No, actually I didn't. I left it blank. I wrote in it, which is amazing, because if you guys know me, you already know that I don't usually write in cards. I make the cards and then I get my husband to write in the cards, but I couldn't leave him to write in his anniversary card, so I did write in this one. But yeah, that is a big thing. I really don't enjoy writing inside cards. I don't know what it is, but it is the way it is. And we're going to glue this inside the envelope, so inside the card as well. I think you've heard enough of me talk, so I'm going to go. I'll pop a little bit of music in here so you can continue with the rest of the video. And have a wonderful day, everyone. I hope that you'll join in this challenge. And again, if you need anything, any of the supplies I've used, you can purchase them in my online store. So that is there. Alright everyone, enjoy your rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.